All right, let's go ahead and take a look at lesson 1.5. Okay. In lesson 1.5, they will tell us something to start with, such as n equals 3 and a equals negative 27. If we were to put it into the form of n root a, this would look like 3 in the hook and negative 27 inside this root sign. To break up negative 27, we see that negative 3 times 9 makes negative 27. 9 is the same thing as negative 3 times negative 3. Okay, so this right here is the same thing as 3 root negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. The number inside the hook is telling us to circle that many of the same number. So if you have that many of the same number, circle all of them. And for every group that you circle, you can take out the number that is in there. Okay, so the answer to this question would be negative 3. All right, let's take a look at the next question. Let's say, for example, that they say that n equals 6 and a equals 64. Okay, notice that your n is even and your a is greater than 0. If that is ever the case, you're going to have two answers, and it's going to look like plus or minus whatever number you get at the end. Okay, so let's take a look at the question and remember that. Okay, so if we were to put it into the form of n root a, this would look like 6 root 64. Okay, let's break down the number 64. 64 can be broken down as 8 and 8. For example, 8 is the same thing as 2 times 4. 8 is also the same thing as 2 times 4. 4 is the same thing as 2 times 2, so we can break it down and break down this one as well. So now we've broken it down all the way down to as far as we can get it. So this 6 root 64 is the same thing as 6 root 2, 2, 2. So we have 6 2. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay. This number inside the hook is telling us to look inside of the root sign and see if there's that many of the same number. So let's circle 6 of the same number. For every group that we circle, we can take out one of the numbers as the answer. So the answer is 2. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next question. Let's say, for example, that they tell us negative 3 root 8. Okay, they already have put it into the n root a form, which is nice. Now we just got to see what is the third root of 8. Notice that your n is odd and your a is greater than 0, so you will have one answer. Okay. Breaking down 8, we see that 8 is the same thing as 2 times 4. 4 is the same thing as 2 times 2. So we've broken down 8 as far as we can. So now let's put it into the root sign. 2 times 2 times 2 makes 8. The number inside the root sign, inside the hook sign, hook of the sign, is telling us to circle that many of the same number inside the root sign. So find if you have 3 of the same number and circle them. For every group that you circle, you can pull out that number from them and say that it's there, and the negative sign in this question would come down. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next question. Let's say that we had negative 16 to the 1/4. Okay, notice that your a is less than 0, and your n, the number under the fraction, under 1, is even. Okay, if that is ever the case where a is less than 0, a is a negative number, and n is even, the number under the fraction, under 1, you will have no solution. Okay, so be careful if this number is negative and this number is even. Let's take a look at the next question. Let's say, for example, that the number on top of the fraction in the exponent is not just 1. Let's say that it is 3, for example. 16 to the 3/4. Okay. we can separate this because we know that 3 over 4 is the same thing as 1 over 4 times 3. Okay, so we can separate this as 16 to the 1 over 4 times 3, right? 3 on the outside exponent, because 1 over 4 times 3 is 3 over 4. Okay. If we were to break down this, the a is 16. That's the number that goes in here. And the n is 4. So we can break down this, and then we'll take everything to the third power, right? So 16 broken down is 2 times 8. 8 is the same thing as 2 times 4. 4 is the same thing as 2 times 2. So 16 is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, so in here, we'll have 4 root 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and then 3 on the exponent outside. Right, so the 4 inside the hook is telling us to find 4 of the same numbers inside of the root sign. So if we have 4, we can circle all of them. Okay, for every group that we circle, we can take out one of them. So our answer would be 2 to the third. Now we just need to figure out what is 2 to the third power. So 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So our answer is 8. All right, let's take a look at a similar question, such as 256 to the 3/4. Okay, so we can separate this like we did in the last question as 256 to the 1/4, with the 3 as the exponent outside, because we know that 1/4 times 3 makes 3/4. So your a is 256, and your n is 4. So 4 root 256. This is all to the third power. Okay, if we were to break up 256, that would be 2 and 128. 128 is the same thing as 2 and 64. 64 is the same thing as 2 and 32. 32 is the same thing as 2 and 16. 16 is 2 times 8. 8 is 2 times 4. And 4 is 2 times 2. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2s. So let's fill it into here. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and one more makes 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is all again to the third power. Okay. The number inside the root sign is telling us to circle that many of the same number. So let's look inside the root sign and circle 4 2s. Okay, for every group that we circle, we can pull out that number. Okay, and then we also see that another group of 4 right here, so we can pull out another group of 2s as 1, and then to the third power. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 to the third is 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64.